The 2024 early signing day is underway. It is already a great day for Clemson. I'm going to talk about who's already signed and who we're waiting on, but it's a great day to be a Tiger. Welcome to Clemson Football Live. I am Brian. I do appreciate you being here. I hope you subscribe. It's free, and it's the easiest way to support the channel. So this morning, Sammy Brown, the longtime top recruit in this class for Clemson, out of Jefferson, Georgia. If you're familiar with the Atlanta area, it's probably 45 minutes from Atlanta, if that. Not metro Atlanta, but like downtown Atlanta. He signed this morning, the number one linebacker in the country, signed with Clemson. Now, of course, as you can see from the thumbnail that I put up there, he's on the left. If you're a Clemson fan, you know who's it. Heck, if you're a college football fan, you know who Sammy Brown is. There on the left, wearing the number one jersey with the blonde hair and the mullet, and it's fantastic. He did sign this morning. There was a lot of attempts to flip the guy. Of course, being at Jefferson High School, he was 45 minutes from the University of Georgia. So I don't blame them for trying to flip him. But Sammy Brown, he signs with Clemson. The guy is just a very talented football player, a great get for the Tigers. And he's joining a long list of incredible Clemson defensive players. So welcome to the family, Sammy. I'm glad that you didn't flip to another team. I'm glad that, this past season didn't drive you away. I say past season, the current season didn't drive you away. But in a time where NIL is massive, in a time where people are, especially like the guy who moved all the way from Arizona to play football at Buford, and he was going to go to Georgia. What is his name? Dylan Raiola or something like that, the quarterback. And then just a few days ago, he says, "Hey, I'm going to Nebraska." So I'm glad that Sammy, he committed to Clemson. He stayed with his commitment, and I look forward to watching this young man play football. I mean, he ran the football very well in high school. And so this guy, he played on both sides of the ball. He's very talented. I'm glad that Sammy Brown is going to be playing for the Tigers. There's been a lot of people who signed this morning. I do want to look just at Sammy Brown real quick. This guy is 6'2", about 230. This is right out of high school. And he is just, he's just a very talented player. Number one linebacker in the country, according to ESPN. Number two, number 3 overall in the state of Georgia. Number 12 overall in the recruiting class, according to ESPN. So this guy is very talented. I'm very glad that he signed. Folks, you can't take any of these signees for granted or a commitment for granted, especially in this time, because people can flip like that. Someone can just be like, you know what? I think I'm going to go somewhere else. So I'm glad that he's here. Let's keep going. TJ Moore, the wide receiver. In fact, he's on the thumbnail as well. TJ Moore, a wide receiver, someone that we need. We need some wide receiver play. We need our wide receiver play to step up across the board. Clemson is no longer wide receiver U. We all know it. We don't like it. We're upset about it. I'm ticked about it. But bringing in a guy like TJ Moore, he signed this morning. Just a little bit about TJ. This guy is 6'3", about 190, maybe 200 pounds. He's out of Tampa, Florida. Comes out of Tampa Catholic. This guy is a very talented wide receiver. He's, according to 24/7 Sports, he's the number 21 wide receiver, number 102 overall. When you consider the tens of thousands of football players that's in high school football, having a guy like this come in out of the state of Florida is a big deal for us. And so when you consider that this guy had offers from Georgia, Ohio State, LSU, Tennessee, Miami, it's just great to see him sign with Clemson, honor his commitment, not flip at the last second. So this is great news for the Tigers. We need this type of football player because, hey, let's be honest with ourselves. If you look back when Clemson was actually wide receiver U, yes, we had slight guys like Amari Rogers. We had guys, obviously, like Hunter Renfrow. And those are smaller guys that you need a combination of all of these players. It's not a one-size-fits-all. But if you look at guys like T. Higgins, Mike Williams, Justin Ross when he was healthy, even Ngata when he was healthy, we're talking about guys that are at least 6'3". So you have those people going up, high pointing the ball, even going all the way back to Martavis Bryant, who was 6'4". You need that receiver to go up and wrestle the football away, high point the football, and truly dominate your average 5'10", 5'11" athletic cornerback who's going to, I mean, they're going to play on an island. They're going to get really rough. And according to what officiating groups that you have, they may let them get away with murder versus a 6'1", a 6'2", a 6'3" wide receiver. So you need someone to be physical to go up and get the flipping football. And I have high hopes for this young man. I hope that he ends up landing at Clemson. That would be great. That would be a good move for us. So I'm glad he's here. Let's go through the list. There's a bunch of people who signed this morning, and I'm not going to get to all of them. Get to talk about them at in depth, but let's go through this list. Ricardo Jones signed the 4-star player out of Warner Robins this morning. 6'3", 200 pound safety. This guy is a very talented, hard-hitting, aggressive football player, and we need that. We need our defense to be as vicious as possible, and this guy is vicious. This guy in high school, and I know it has to translate, but to the college game. But folks, this guy can hit, and so I'm excited that this young man, Ricardo Jones, has signed with Clemson. We have, I believe it's Heaven Brown Schuler. He's a 4-star that signed with Clemson this morning. We have Darian Mayo. Darian Mayo committed, I want to say this past summer. Please forgive me if I'm wrong on that. He committed this past summer. He's out of Maryland. He's a 4-star defensive end, 6'7", 250 pounds. This guy, I mean, he's your classic big end, but he's got a tall frame. So you can get those hands up if you try to throw that terrible pass out in the flats that I always hate. You're starting to see more and more of these edge guys. They're reading it, and if they can make a quick enough move, if they believe they've read it correctly, they're jumping out and tapping the ball up, and in some cases intercepting the ball. And a guy who's 6'7", 250 pounds, that's a big deal. That type of guy can do it. He had offers from Auburn, Florida State, Miami, Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State. You name it, they were going after this kid, and he ended up at Clemson. So obviously, this guy, he knows it. I mean, obviously, this guy was a big deal. Going to the running back room. Now, I listened to a video of this young man saying his name, and I'm probably still going to butcher it. Clemson got a 4-star running back out of Kennesaw, Georgia. For you who really don't know, that's the Metro Atlanta area. It's kind of on the northern end, like you're heading towards. It's not near Chattanooga. It's like you're heading towards Chattanooga in that general area. 6'1", 205 pound. David Ezimume. I probably butchered that. He's a very talented running back. As I said, 6'1", 205. He's not small, but he's not overly thick. They'll probably try to put a little bit more weight on this guy, but this cat, he can move, he can run, he has top end speed, but he's not a weakling. He had offers from Southern Cal, he had offers from Florida State and Auburn, and he signed with Clemson. He's a 4-star. out of Georgia. So I'm glad that we got this guy, because Moffa and Shipley's going to be gone before you know it. You're gonna blink and you're going to be like, wow, the Moffa Shipley era is over. And so you're going to need a guy like him to come in and get acclimated. All right. Now, I will back up something real quick that I said. ESPN has him as a 3-star, 24/7 has him as a 3-star, and Rivals has him as a 4-star. So you take that at will. I want to be very careful as well, because a lot of times we'll look at a guy like this and say, well, Travis Etienne was what, a 3-star. Yes, and I think Justin Jefferson was a 2-star. You never know how these guys are going to end up, but this guy, he seems like he has a high ceiling, and to hopefully come in and follow in the footsteps of Etienne. But I'm not going to put that on that young man. But welcome to the Clemson family. I've probably missed a few people as I'm going through here. We have a 4-star offensive lineman, Ronan O'Connell, who signed with Clemson. And if anybody knows anything about Clemson, we need offensive line production, and we have to get the right people in place. This guy is a 3-star according to ESPN and 24/7 Sports, 4-star according to Rivals. Some people's call him 4-star. I'm going to call him a 3-star. 6'4", 290 is out of Franklin, Tennessee. This guy he's a big guy, and I really hope that he can come in and and really impact our offensive line. Now, he picked Clemson over Wisconsin and Tennessee, so that's a big deal. Tennessee, I know that they didn't have the season this year that they wanted, but Tennessee is not the lackluster football team that they've been for 15 years now. Last year they had a great season. This past season they had a tough schedule. They had questionable quarterback play. Had they had a better quarterback, I think that you would have seen a few more wins there. A lot of Tennessee fans will tell you that, and rightfully so. I watched them play. So for him to pick Clemson over Tennessee, that is a big deal as well. Got a bunch of people here in the comments section. I'm glad that you're all here. I hope you subscribed. If you're watching this, it's the easiest and free way to support the channel. I do appreciate it. So, have some great comments in here. Ursa Major 2000. TJ Moore is my sleeper impact player in this class. Kevin, barring injuries on wide receiver next year, we have 2 great slot receivers. No excuse for bad production. Has Clemson broken their 3-star or less Daniel addition by adding 5-star Hoffman? I don't know, Jim, right? But I know where you're going with that. Stars are ridiculous. They need to be done away with to try and rank. Kevin says Sammy Brown can play running back or linebacker. Chloe Fashion and Dawes. Yes, that is true. But he'll probably be at linebacker. Just hoping it's a good day for the Tigers. Cohen Pope. Well, Cohen, hey, so far so good. We're still waiting on Bryant Wesco, unless for some reason he's committed or not committed. He signed while I've been on this live stream. I appreciate everyone being here. Also, if you want to support on a monthly basis, there's a join button below the video. Now, you might not see it if you're on an Apple product, but it's $3 per month or $5 per month. I have 2 different tiers. It's just 2 different ways for you to support the channel. I do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. So let's keep going. I've probably missed some players. I'm going to move a little faster here. Watson Young out of Daniel High School has signed with Clemson. Drew, of course, Watson Young is his dad. His dad, was Clemson football player Will Young, and he's 6'3", 280 pounds. He is out of Daniel High School, and so, or I said Will Young, Kyle Young. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said Will Young. Please forgive me. It's Kyle Young, but they're hoping that this kid's going to come in and do well. They're hoping that he's going to come in and tear it up. Now, I will tell you this: I have I have somewhat of a connection to the Daniel Football High School, and I know that we all get irritated with what has went on with certain players in the past getting preferential treatment or being able to play on the football team because they had a connection to Daniel, and let's just say the quiet part out loud, they were probably friends with Dabo's kids or some of the coaches' kids. But this guy right here, I think because his dad is Kyle Young, yeah, he probably got a look that he might not have, received, but he does understand the importance of coming in and playing good football. And I'll tell you this, I look forward to seeing him play. I hope that he does very well at Clemson, and he's already part of the Clemson family through lineage and legacy, but now he is officially part of the Clemson family. And welcome, Watson. I wish you the very best at Clemson. Moving a little quicker, and I keep saying that, and I'm not. Adam Kasaya, I think that's the proper name to pronounce his name. This guy is a big dude, 6'7", 230 pounds. He's out of Palm Bay, Florida. He's a 3-star defensive end. Once again, having those taller defensive ends, that helps. Once again, when someone tries to throw maybe a quick pass out into the flats, maybe try to set up a wide receiver screen, you see that big 6'7" body stretch out and knock down the pass. And in some cases, we're seeing more and more as these guys study film, they're intercepting that pass. That's a big addition for Clemson. So welcome to the family. Drew Woodes, of course, his brother plays on the football team. We got another kicker, Nolan Hauser. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's on the football team. Welcome to the family. We have Noah Dixon. Noah Dixon is a safety out of LaGrange, Georgia. This guy is a 4-star guy. He's 6'2". He's 185 pounds. He's a very talented football player. So when you see a guy come out of that LaGrange, Georgia, that metro Atlanta area, or all the way down to Warner Robins, that's some real football, especially in the state of Georgia. I mean, you're getting some of the best players, and this guy is a very talented football player. Once again, another safety, 6 foot tall. He's 6'2", excuse me. He has that taller frame. He can play over the top. And so I'm glad to have Noah Dixon on the football team. Champ Thompson signing with Clemson, another defensive lineman, 6'3", 275 pounds. He's a 4-star player across the board. Once again, Norcross, Georgia. He's in that metro Atlanta area. He's a very talented player. Hopefully I don't butcher this name, Tavoy Fegan. He is a cornerback out of Tampa, Florida. This guy is a 4-star football player, 5'11", 165. But hey, you get into those types of players, especially out of Florida, he probably has more speed. He probably has more grit than what you're going to run into if you encounter someone of his size and stature at maybe a smaller high school. What I mean by that is, if you met a guy like that at just your regular high school who was not that great, or maybe in a football league, you would be like, he's undersized. He'll get bested. And if he gets to any decent level of college football, a guy like this, that's not it. That's not it. I mean, you got to remember the great Deion Sanders when he was playing at Florida State. I mean, he was about 160 pounds, and he was a nightmare. So I'm glad this young man is going to Clemson, trying to beef up that secondary, try to bring more incredible talent to the secondary, and trying to really ensure that we have a complete defense from the front 7 all the way to the back 4. So that's a great way to do it, bring in someone like him. So welcome to the Clemson family. Heaven Brown Schuler, if I have not mentioned him yet, please forgive me. He's 6'4", 290 pounds. Guess where he's out of? You want to take a guess? Atlanta, Georgia, Pace Academy. This guy is a 4-star across the board. He's extremely talented. He had offers from Georgia, Michigan, Oklahoma, and many more. Just beefing up that defensive line, bringing in more talent, and it just keeps getting better. I think I have mentioned everyone. I think I've mentioned everyone so far. So if I have missed anyone, please forgive me. So far, all right. Let me see. It is official. Bryant Wesco has signed with Clemson. He has signed with Clemson. That's fantastic news. Wesco did sign. He just signed. Donald Walker just asked the question, did you say that Bryant Wesco had not signed yet? Just a second ago, yes, I said that he hadn't signed yet. In fact, he didn't even he said that he was going to be signing today because he could have waited and signed on Friday, but he didn't even release a time when he would sign, and so you always kind of get kind of nervous, right? So he just signed. Bryant Wesco has officially signed with Clemson. That's a massive deal. If my memory serves me correct, this right off the top of my head, he was the number 2 player on Clemson's list for this 2024 signing class. So there was Sammy Brown, and then it was Bryant Wesco out of Midlothian, Texas. So he's 6'2", 170 pounds. You know, he's not 6'4", but this guy is 6'2", 170 pounds. I mean, he is an incredible football player. Now 24/7 Sports has him, or 24/7 Sports has him as a 5-star. Others has him as a 4-star. But I'm just glad that we're landing this guy. He had so many offers. I mean, so many offers, and he lands with Clemson. And I want you to think about Texas. I mean, Texas finally became relevant this year after many years of being irrelevant. The media telling us Texas is back. We all remember Sam Ehlinger at the Sugar Bowl beating a Georgia team who had a lot of opt-outs. You remember he had the mic and we're back. No, you're not. The guy who's coaching you won't even be the coach in a year or two. They'll fire Tom Herman. And Texas is a legitimate football team. I said it earlier this year. Prove it to me. I'm tired of hearing about how good you are. Just do it, because you're not that. You're not what everybody keeps telling me. And for him to come out of that area, and you have Nebraska. Nebraska has been making a big play. I told you Matt Rhule was going to do good at Nebraska. And I know this year was a rebuilding year, first year, all that bunch of stuff. Matt Rhule, don't be shocked. I could be wrong, but don't be shocked if Nebraska is really good within like 2 or 3 years. But he has Nebraska coming after him. He has our old friend Brent Venables coming after him. You have Deion and the Colorado Machine coming after him. You have LSU, obviously Texas, and he still sticks with Clemson. That's a big deal. That is a really big deal. So let's go through and see if anyone else has signed at this point. Corian Gibson has signed with us. He's a cornerback. He is a 4-star. He is a 4-star across the board, 6 feet tall, 170 pounds, out of Lancaster, Texas. Now, there's a Lancaster, South Carolina, or do you pronounce it Lancaster? That's the debate. I don't know. But this is a big pickup. Once again, he had a ton of offers. Texas and Ohio State was heavily pursuing him. Obviously, he's in Texas, and he picks Clemson over them. This is a big grab for Clemson. Corian Gibson He signs with Clemson. Welcome to the family, my friend. Ashton Hampton signs with Clemson. This is a guy that is more of a higher 3-star recruit, defensive back, 6'2", 190 pounds, out of Tallahassee, Florida. He signed this morning. Of course, being in Tallahassee, Florida State was after him. Miami, LSU, all the usual suspects. So he is signed with Clemson. 6'5", 240 pound tight end Christian Bentenker. Please forgive me if I butchered your name. Out of Woodstock, Illinois. This guy is a 4-star across the board. This is a type of guy that Notre Dame would go get. This is the type of guy that would end up playing for Wisconsin. Now, Ohio State was heavily after this guy. I mean, can't you imagine that guy, 6'5", 240 pounds, playing at Ohio State, and you're sitting there going, man, how did they get these guys? And I know Clemson's had some great tight ends. I'm not taking away from even Brennan Stoll or Davis Allen or any of those guys. But we landed this guy. He's in the heart of the fight of the Big 12 or Big 10, excuse me. So to land him is a big deal as well. I'm glad that he signed with the Tigers. And right now, I don't believe there's any other updates I could have missed. Let me go to the comment board and check out a few things. Everybody, I see there's 70 people in here. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm still having my morning cup of coffee. I'm going to mute it so you don't have to hear me slurp my coffee. There we go. Yes, I go back and listen to my videos and critique them. And I don't always fix a lot of things, but I think I drank coffee before. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and get to the comment board. I hope that you subscribe. You're probably at work right now listening to me on your headset, your AirPods, maybe driving to work, out driving around. Thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate it. It's the early National Signing Day 2024 for the Clemson football team, for the nation. So it opened up at 7 a.m. this morning, and Clemson has landed all of their recruits, their commitments for this class. If my memory serves me correct, of course, the top ones, Sammy Brown being the crown jewel of this early signing class, this entire signing class for 2024. Bryant Wesco out of Texas, the big-time wide receiver, just signed. TJ Moore just signed, and a lot more. So let's go to the comments section. I hope you've subscribed. I hope you've hit the thumbs up. Remember, it's free, and it's the easiest way to support the channel. Now, Miranda Knott. Now, Miranda, I don't think we are kin. My last name's Knott. I don't think we're kin, although we got some great guys coming in. But 15th to me is mediocre, and a drop-off has been for a few years. I talked about this a few days ago. We have seen a drop-off to a point. We had, 2 top 10 recruiting or top 5 recruiting classes, like in 16 or 18. Of course, 18 was the amazing one with Trevor Lawrence, Xavier Thomas, and so on. With that said, I do agree with you that we would like to land a few more people that's in the 5-star range. I get it. But I was shocked as I went back through 24/7 Sports, looking over the years that we were ranked like 15th or ranked 11th. Players that we pulled in, like the Darion Kendrick. I know Darion Kendrick ended up, there was a parting of ways with Darion. He ended up at Georgia. Darion Kendrick was one of my favorite football players to watch at Clemson. And, that was part of like a number 15 ranked recruiting class. When T. Higgins was signed, that was part of like a number 16 or 15 recruiting class as far as like ranking. So I agree with you. There is a reason that we see Alabama and Georgia, mainly Alabama, because Georgia's always recruited well. It's just they decided to use their talent over the past few years to actually win. So, but there's a reason that Alabama is consistently doing what they're doing for as long as they've been doing it is because they consistently have top 5, top 3 recruiting classes. So, but especially after this season, that would have been the perfect time for teams like Texas to swoop in, Georgia to swoop in, and take guys like Brown and Wesco away. So, I'm glad that we landed these guys, and I'll take what we can get at this point. But I'm glad they signed. But I understand exactly what you're saying. Dylan Spell, I try to move a little faster. Should we expect any surprise commitments that we haven't heard about since Matt Luke and Chris Rumpf started recruiting? I know there's that guy that we're trying to flip from Ohio State. I have not looked to see. I think his name's Edric Houston. I'm going to look that up as we're talking right now. Edric Houston, he's either Ohio State or Alabama. I know that that Clemson's been pushing for him. He's out of Buford, Georgia. Once again, Buford is, if anybody's ever been to the Mall of Georgia in near the Atlanta area, it's on the outskirts of Atlanta, off of I-85. That's the Buford area, general area. So that they have great football out there. So I know that they've been making a push for him, but I don't know if he signed or not. So we will see whether he signs. But I know that Alabama's trying to flip him. I know that Clemson has been trying to flip Edric Houston. But other than that, I really don't know if there's anyone that unexpectedly would sign. Hunter Wright, we pulled Gibson out of Texas grasp too. They were still trying last night. Of course they were trying. You're right. I mean, to go in there and get a guy like that, Texas is doing really well this year. Like, if this is the year to try to flip anyone, if this is the time to go into the transfer portal and play the Texas card, this is the year to do it. Okay? Because I want you to even look at their quarterback room. Their quarterback room is stacked. It's not like they have one really good quarterback, then they have a guy they have hopes for, and then after that, they have a bunch of GAs who they've given the honor to dress up as a football player. No, their quarterback room is unbelievable. So they can go out and play the Texas card. Like, it's legitimate now. You're not having to talk about the Mac Brown years. You're not having to talk about 2005, back when a lot of these guys were babies. Some of them might not even be born yet. I don't know. You're actually talking about a legitimate playoff team now. So that we got Gibson, that's a big deal. Dragonfly says, hoping we can land some flips today. That would be nice, but I'm glad that we landed the guys that we got, because I'm telling you, this season was brutal. And these high school recruits, with everything that's going on that I'm not going to go into, it would be easy to say Clemson's on the decline. Georgia is 3 points away from being in another national championship. Alabama is being Alabama. Texas is Texas. They're finally playing good ball. I mean, it would be easy for a high school football player to say, look, the orange and white, I might like things about them, but I'm sorry, this is a business move. And they could have easily left Clemson. They could have decommitted, but fortunately they didn't, and I'm glad they are with the Tigers. Dylan Spellman said, yeah, we moved DK, Darion Kendrick, from wide receiver to DB. And what's so funny is he played both very, very well. I mean, he was a return. He was a return man. I loved watching Darion Kendrick do what he did. I don't know what got him kicked off the team, but that guy can play football. He went on to Georgia, so he gets kicked off the football team. Then he goes to Georgia and wins a national championship. And then I saw him playing in the NFL the other day. It was just, the guy's very, very talented, and hate everything went down like it did. But Houston's leaning towards Bama. Andre Graham, my old buddy Andre. Andre, it's good to see you, pal. A man whose profile picture is a sandwich. Now, I'm telling you, that's my type of person. I truly think this is going to be a special class when it's all said and done. You know what? We need the special class. And I talked about it just a second ago when Miranda had her concerns about our recruiting. And I get it, because when you look at Alabama and you see Alabama in the top 3 all the time, when you look at Florida State, and Florida State, you know, they raided the transfer portal last year, but they still recruited well. I even did a video the other day that asked the question, if a team uses the transfer portal, does it hurt their regular recruiting? Because there's this general idea that it does. Well, Florida State currently has a top 5 class in recruiting. And so I haven't paid attention to their signees this morning, but I get it. But as I pointed out earlier, those classes with T. Higgins in it and Darion Kendrick, those were not, from my memory, if my memory serves me correct, they were not top 5 classes. Those were like top 15 classes. So I'm hoping that this team, this group of players, comes out and dominates. Okay, you're going to get my negative thought here for a second. Nobody get upset. I know I take my gloves off with my team. It's because I love them and I just want them to fix the problem so we can return to dominance. That's it. But the concern that I have is the lack of recruiting along the offensive line. Like it really bothers me that we're still not getting these incredible offensive linemen. And Matt Luke just took over. So that's not on him. But that's one of my only concerns right now, is that we did not go after, or let me rephrase this, we could not land a legitimate 5-star offensive lineman who can come in and murder people at will. Whether the offensive line coach is good or not, this guy is just a machine. You know, there's some guys who they are just a machine. I don't care who's coaching them. And that is my concern, is that we did not see an offensive line, a major offensive lineman taken in this class. But Matt Luke was just hired 5 minutes ago, so that's not on him. It's going to take some time there for him to build those relationships, for him to try to get some of these guys to flip, who are already committed for the 2025 cycle. So we'll leave that there. But that's my only concern. But overall, hey, I'm glad that we are, you know, that we landed Sammy Brown, we landed Bryant Wesco, that we landed TJ Moore. And so right now we, you know, hey, we kept the guys who said they were going to play at Clemson, and they committed in the summer. Some committed well before the summer, and they stayed committed, and they signed this morning, instead of looking at Clemson and saying, you know what, you went 8-4. Your football program was not dominant this year. They could have left. I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad that they've bought in. And I hope just for that these guys will be successful. So, well, folks, thank you so much for joining me. Joining me on this. I'm starting to read the comment section. I'm going to turn it off. Everybody in the comments, thank you for joining me. See, there's 82 of you right now. I'm glad you're here. You're probably at work. You're probably driving. You're probably doing something. If you can, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already, it's free. It's the easiest way to support the channel. There's a join button below the video. If you want to support on a monthly basis, it's only $3 per month. There's a $5 tier too. But hey, if you want to support the channel, I do appreciate that. Look, folks, I talk about my football team honestly and aggressively. Why? I love my Clemson football team. If Dabo does something good, I'm going to credit him. If Dabo does something stupid, I'm going to say that was stupid. I'm not going to cower I'm not going to to talk about 2018 and the national championship. I'm going to call it as it is. But I'm also going to credit our team and celebrate the good moments like this when we get Sammy Brown, when we get Bryant Wesco, when we get TJ Moore, and when we land these guys, because they could have decommitted and went somewhere else. And I'm glad that they're signing on to be part of the Clemson family. And I know that if you're a Clemson fan, you're excited too. Folks, you take care of yourself. It's a good day to be a Tiger. As always, go Tigers.